Hello, viewers. It's a pleasure to meet you all again. And in this episode, we are going to see the part 2 of The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. In the previous part, that is part 1, we saw that the grandson, that is, the narrator or the author of this story, was staying with his grandmother in a village and he studied in the village school. Later, when his parents were well settled in the city, both of them came to the city and he joined an English school. And he was taught modern science and music in his English school. But he said that the bondage or the love or the attachment between his grandmother and himself started thinning and diluting after he came to the city. Now let's see what happens in this part. I read the passage now. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. She rarely left the spinning wheel to talk to anyone. Here, we understand that he grew up and joined a university for his higher studies, and he was given a separate room in his home. And so, the friendship or the attachment between his grandmother and himself got snapped. Snapped here means broke, cut, or we can even say ended. His grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. The word seclusion here means isolation, that is, being alone. With resignation is a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is a phrase that begins with a preposition. And in this prepositional phrase, the word resignation does not mean resigning a job. It means patience or tolerance. This phrase means accepting something that cannot be changed. And so, she rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. There was a spinning wheel at their home and she used to spin yarns in it. She never left it because she never wished to speak to anyone. Now, I read further. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayers. Only in the afternoon, she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. While she sat in the veranda, breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected around her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirruping. In the afternoons, she used to feed the sparrows and relax, and she would be sitting in the veranda, breaking the bread into little bits and throwing to the hundreds of birds around her. They will be creating a veritable bedlam of chirruping. Veritable means exciting or impressive or positive. Bedlam means confusion. And chirruping means chirping. It means making of sound by birds. I read further. Some came and perched on her legs, others on her shoulders, some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. Here, the word some refers to sparrows. He says, some sparrows came and perched on her legs. Perched means sat. And other sparrows sat on her shoulders. Some sparrows even sat on her head. But she only smiled but never shooed them away. Shoo away means drive away something by shouting. Shoo is an onomatopoeic word. Only that half an hour of hers feeding the sparrows in the afternoon was the happiest time of the day for her. Now, I continue reading. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age, one could never tell. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental. He had to go abroad for further studies, and he was very sure that his grandmother would be upset, that is, unhappy for parting with him. And he knew he had to be away for 5 years. And he thought, for a lady of her age, no one could ever tell if she would be alive after 5 years. But he knew his grandmother would, because she was not even sentimental when he started to go abroad. Now, reading of the passage continues. She came to leave me at the railway station, but did not talk or show any emotion. Her lips moved in prayer, her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of her rosary. His grandmother came to the railway station to see him off. She did not talk or show any kind of emotion. She was praying and she was completely lost in prayer. It means giving all attention to something and not noticing what happens around. Her fingers were telling the beads of her rosary. Telling the beads of her rosary means moving or rolling the beads. And rosary means a garland of beads rolled when somebody is praying or doing meditation. Now I read on. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. When he was about to leave, she silently kissed him on his forehead. So he left and cherished the moist imprint. Cherished means he thought of it for a long time, feeling happy about it, and he thought the moist imprint, that is, the wet feeling of impression on his forehead, was the last sign of the physical contact that he could have had with his grandmother. Now, reading continues. But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. She did not look a day older. She still had no time for words, and while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers. After 5 years, after completing his course abroad, he returned home, and things were not as he expected or as he feared. When he left, he thought his grandmother would not be alive on his return, but now, to his surprise, he was received by his grandmother at the railway station. And he was astonished to see that she did not look a day older than she was when he left. She had no time for words, that is, she did not speak, but she just hugged him tight, and when she was hugging him, he could hear her reciting her prayers. It means she was telling her prayers. Now, reading. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows, whom she fed longer and with frivolous rebukes. That is, even on his very first day after his return from abroad, she was spending time with sparrows and feeding them very happily for a long time with frivolous rebukes. Frivolous means amusing and rebukes means scoldings. She was happily and playfully scolding the sparrows. Now, reading. In the evening, a change came over her. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum, and started to sing. That evening, there was a change in her. She stopped praying. She gathered all the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum, and started to sing something. Let me read on now. For several hours, she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum and sang the homecoming of warriors. We had to persuade her to stop to avoid overstraining. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. And for many hours, she was thumping the drum. Thumping means hitting very hard. And the drum was already dilapidated. Dilapidated means damaged with sagging skins. That is, the skin of the drum was saggy, not firm, and it was loose. And she was singing Homecoming of Warriors. It means a folk song sung by people when their warriors or soldiers return from the battlefield. They all had to persuade her to stop overstraining. They all had to convince her to stop overstraining. And that was the first time he saw her not to be praying. I continue reading. The next morning, she was taken ill. It was a mild fever, and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near. The next morning, she was taken ill. Taken ill here means fell ill, that is, she was suddenly ill. It was a mild fever, and the doctor told them that it would go. Here, it would go means it would disappear or stop existing. That is, the fever would disappear or stop existing. It means she would be alright and she would get cured. But she thought differently. Differently here means otherwise. She thought otherwise. She told them that it was her end and her end was near. Now, I read further on. She said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray, she was not going to waste any more time talking to us. Now, the grandmother said that it was the last chapter of her life and the end was very near. It was getting close. And there were only a few hours. Since she had omitted to pray, she was not going to waste any more time of her talking to them. Now I continue reading. We protested, but she ignored our protests. She lay peacefully in bed praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was dead. The grandmother was thinking that she was going to die and she was nearing her end. They all protested it. They all encouraged her and advised her that she was going to live long, and they also told her that it was her mere thought and it was a superstition. But she ignored all her words and she continued praying on her bed and telling her beads. That is, she was rolling the beads of her rosary. And before they could even guess or suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. And her face turned pale, and they knew that she was dead. Here, pallor means an unhealthy pale appearance or paleness. And now, reading continues. We lifted her off the bed and, as is customary, laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud. After a few hours of mourning, we left her alone to make arrangements for her funeral. In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. They lifted her body from the bed, and as is customary, that is, as it is a custom, they laid her body on the ground and covered it with a red shroud. Shroud means a piece of cloth to wrap a dead body. Then they mourned for a few hours and left her alone for making arrangements for her funeral. In the evening, they went back to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. Cremate here means to burn a dead body, and crude stretcher means a stretcher used for carrying dead bodies. Now I continue reading. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. We stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff, wrapped in the red shroud. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. It was evening and the sun was glowing golden, and so the veranda and her room were looking golden in the evening light. As they went to her room, they had to stop on the way, that is, halfway in the courtyard, because all over the veranda and in her room, right up to the place where her body was laid, there were thousands of sparrows sitting scattered on the floor. Now, let's read further. There was no chirruping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother fetched some bread for them. She broke it into little crumbs, the way my grandmother used to, and threw it to them. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. All the sparrows were very silent, and they felt very sorry for the birds. And his mother brought some bread for the birds. She broke it into little pieces, little crumbs, the way his grandmother used to offer to the birds. And she offered those crumbs to the birds, but the sparrows did not take notice of the bread at all. And I read further. When we carried my grandmother's corpse off, they flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. Corpse means dead body. When the dead body of the grandmother was taken away to the crematorium, all the birds flew away quietly, that is, very silently, without chirruping. Next morning, the sweeper had to sweep all the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. It means they did not take even a crumb. Dear students, I believe this session was useful to you. Thank you.